So with our handsome Mr. G, just like you had mentioned, he sometimes gets a bit confused with his target bed or blanket and then the restroom like you had mentioned earlier. And then he actually did do the same behavior you were mentioning has been happening at home. So I did tidy up after the accident, no big deal. Remember, puppies will make mistakes just like us when we're little figuring out toilet training. So when it comes to your beauty, I was figuring I might as well try a little bit with a cot instead. So sometimes if some puppies get really confused with textures, I think it can be really helpful in the beginning to have more distinct feels to certain things, and that's okay. Later, as he becomes more comfortable and a little bit more refined with going to the restroom outdoors in certain zones, you can maybe start to include the blanket or bed again. So for Mr. Handsome, I'm going to see if the cot makes a little bit more sense than the target blanket. If, for example, though, you can always change and move on to other items as a target later, but at least this way we can start off on something that maybe is very distinctly different than a blanket or a bed, which at times can feel very similar to stepping outside on the squishiness that is the grass. So because for some puppies, they're very much so onto textures equal maybe stepping into a new bubble, and that's maybe where he's getting a little confused. So we're gonna get this little down for this handsome guy, for example, here. Nice down, beautiful. Feed for that. So I'm just getting him cozy on the target bed. So this is, again, a raised dog cot. You can find all different varieties. I'm not saying you have to go out and buy anything new for the handsome man. But for some puppies, having a distinct dog target like this could be a better step than the blanket for right now for the handsome man. So let's say, again, I'm just building up like I did earlier, going to the target spot and creating value in being there. If I'm going to work with stay, so let's say I'm going to get my handsome guy up and wiggling. My stay behavior is, again, you want to think about stay like freeze tag with room service right here. Yes, I'm going to feed him for that. So freeze tag with room service helps your puppy realize that being stationary has great value. So most puppies being stationary seems like the silliest day of their lives. So remember, if they're not up and exploring, how could they, again, be having a good time if they can't go check everything else out? So right now, we are capturing moments where Mr. Handsome is nice and comfortable on this target bed. In the beginning, you want to think about your 3Ds. So what I mean by that is your duration, your distraction levels, and your distances. So typically right here, yes, I'm going to feed him for that target. So he got off and then decided to come back on. I fed him for going back to the space. So in the beginning, your place behavior, oh my goodness, chewing is optional. Your place behavior should consist of being fed while on the mat to build up the greater part of that exercise is the being on it. So let's say, again, I'm going to lure him off, but not feed him for anything. I'm going to go bed. Yes. Feed him for this right there. And now let's say I'm going to apply my stay. I normally do open palm like stop sign stay, but it's whatever hand signal has been working for you guys if you have a different one. So I'm going to tell him to stay. And then right now, I don't care if he's sitting or downing, I'm going to go yes and feed him several snacks for not moving. So right now, we're just similar to building up the place behavior, but now the stay means stay there until I come back to get you. So there's no recall from the stay. That's where I would use the wait behavior and call him to me from a waiting position. So right now, again, we go all done. I might add a little touch if he doesn't dislike it, get him up and wiggling and have him break from the bed. So again, we're going to try once more. So we might go bed. He says he likes this cot. And I'm going to feed him right here. Yes, for being on the mat. Gorgeous. And now I'm going to tell him again to stay. And if, let's say, my puppy's feeling more comfortable, I could add a little bit of wiggles from me. But right now, I'm just going to work with the time frame. So in the beginning, going to your mat could happen, again, loose in the environment. You could have this mat out, and you might find it becomes his really favorite go-to target spot with chews and other snacks. And he's a little tired too because he was running around a few minutes ago doing some zoomies as well. So he's doing some nice panting, so much exercise. So again, right now, I've sort of extended the time frame slightly between each snack. So sometimes you'll rotate a little bit with your duration, but if the duration is really not going so well, don't all of a sudden add now distance and distractions. So if, let's say, he was doing pretty well, I could add a little bit of movement side to side, but I'm not going to go too far away from him because I don't want to add all of those 3 different scenarios all at once for him yet. So we'd kind of build up on one of the Ds at a time. So this is really pretty. So again, this means too is as I'm adding wiggles, it doesn't mean to come check in with me from moving. It means that when I wiggle, you can still stay put and have it be a good moment for him. Nice. Gorgeous. And again, I'm going to feed, and then I might say, all done. And then I'm going to wiggle my little fingers, see if I can get Mr. Handsome. He's like, no, I like this bed. We'll see if we can get him up. Nice. So again, no food is given for getting off the mat. So, but notice how quickly he goes and jumps up all by himself right there. Yes, I'm going to feed for that. So if right now blankets or bedding is a little confusing, he can even borrow this in class if he wants to when you guys come in on class day. But there's all different varieties of dog cots. This would be one that he could fit into adulthood. Don't feel you must go out and get anything you don't want. But maybe for him, if he's having a really big confusion moment between blankets and squishy dog beds and the grass outside, this could be a very distinct difference between those two. So right now, again, we might even apply the stay. I might add a teeny bit of wiggles. If this was really hard, like he was constantly getting up and breaking, then that means I might have to lower my criteria and change it up just a little bit. So right here, this is gorgeous. I'm gonna feed him for this. And if, let's say, my puppy goes and wiggles, I might reapply the down, tell him once more to stay, and then feed him for holding that little down stay for a second. So again, I'm just going to do a couple quick little rapid fire snacks. He's like, lady, my brain melted. 2, obviously I have been practicing for a few moments now with the handsome guy, so we might be getting really fatigued. So all done, and we get up and we break. So if, for example, he at any point targets his dog bed or blanket or cot, whatever it might be, you can again just capture those moments where he's being successful. You may even want to turn this target into somewhere where fun things happen, like chew items and snacks and things like I mentioned a little bit earlier in the first little video with the blanket down. So now what you could end up doing is as you're meandering and he might be a little bit more pacified, I could then start adding a little bit of this, I call it like a double whammy, where he's enjoying his chew. And then as he's just hanging out there, I might toss a little snack at him and feed him for being on that target. So that way, while he's enjoying sometimes a chew item, I'm making it extra special, but then also including a couple little freebie snacks for holding that place position on his dog bed. So, but remember, going to his spot does not mean an automatic stay. If you haven't applied your stay cue, then he could at any point get up and wiggle, which is fine. Obviously, since he's an adolescent, a puppy, and going into adolescence later comes 6 months, give or take a few weeks or months, depending on the puppy's breed, you may find that, and of course now he's gonna go wild playing with his little bone, but you may find that obviously building in duration will take some time, but just like with anything new, we wanna make sure that it's not ever threatening or overwhelming. So I know I was quickly jumping into that where we don't wanna create a place or stay behavior and pair it with things he finds overwhelming or scary, because then let's say as the Mack truck goes driving by and we tell him to sit, stay, to not move around and jostle or even lunge at the scary thing, your babe may feel that now I'm trapped in this position as the scary thing is still coming. So we do want to make sure that we're not going ahead and pairing simple skills like sits or down stays with also intimidating, overwhelming, or too exciting situations. Because then going to your place could then start to turn into a negative situation. So, but Mr. G did a very nice job. So we'll give him a little breather from some of these practice moments and we'll rotate through the beauties and he can go take a little siesta, but we will dive into a lot of the topics you were having concerns over. Just remember that puppies in this age group are just little babies. So a lot of times the need to lure them or help them through behavior is very typical. So for right now, if service dogs, for example, require like 2+ years worth of food training as well, having a young little baby puppy that also requires some snacks throughout his session is very, very normal and very typical to create the adult dog you like down the road that won't need, again, as many paychecks. But he really is doing a very nice job for his first day at the doggy day school. And he seems to really enjoy the cot. So maybe this would be something that he might prefer at home per se, maybe, but no pressure. So good job, Mr. G. We'll take a little break. He's like, lady, just leave me here in my lovely hammock.